Welcome to Reunite with Self podcast. I'm your host, Rukan. Here, we will be discovering and unraveling what is truly holding you back. We will put the puzzle together and give you clarity on how and what you can do to create massive shift in your life so you start creating the life you always envisioned for yourself. There is no more waiting. Whether it is liberating from dysfunctional family patterns or parenting tools and tips that actually make the difference, we will be diving into the truth and core of things that are simple and which yet no one talks about. I will be sharing with you all the things that would have changed my life massively if I heard any one of these episodes. A new world is awakening, and true bliss, harmony, and peace is possible on this earth. And my mission is to bring you closer to that, one step at a time. In this safe space, I will hold your hand and give you courage and certainty that you can shift anything and everything in your life. It is time we break the pattern. Whether you want to be the parent you never had or make a shift in your life so you don't play small any longer, you will find the support and guidance in this space. My intention is for you to find answers within yourself while you listen to this podcast, so you feel the bliss of reuniting with your true essence, with self, with so much love and compassion and courage. From my heart to yours, let's keep it rockin'. My gorgeous listener, welcome to another episode on Reunite with Self. Thank you so much for being here. This episode is going to be very powerful. It's a continuation of the previous episode, but you don't have to listen to it if you just clicked on this. Thank you for being here. This is going to be powerful. Let's get into it. So, as I have started the podcast, I've always been talking about creating the clarity, how crucial it is to create the clarity of what really went down with your family dynamics, narcissism, any narcissistic tendencies coming from parents, siblings, like first your inner circle, the family you come from, and then we can definitely look at other relationships, your adult relationships, other relatives or social relationships, whatever. They are always a result, not the relatives, but the other parts, like the friends, co-workers, romantic relationships. They are always a result. I have never seen this otherwise, and it just doesn't make sense to me how we can just sit and talk about narcissism in romantic relationships, what they do. Like, we can go deep into the conversation freely with anger about narcissism and how dare they do those things in romantic relationships. We see these from people that I admire at times as well, but I just don't get how they never end the conversation at least, or mention this, or just point to the fact that you should definitely look at your relationships with your parents, for sure, like what they were doing and how it became familiar to you to feel those emotions in dynamics, like in relationship dynamics, and how as a result you pick those people in your adult relationships and how you tolerate, how you choose them, and all the things. Just because you are familiar to the emotion they create in you. The stories can be different so that it works. Narcissism happens in a way, you are exposed to it in a way that it actually works. Like, we'll talk about this in the episode, and maybe the next one, and maybe the next one too, but I want to make it clear to you, if you have any tendency, and if you had any tendency with compassion to yourself, to minimize any of the things that you were exposed to, that your mother was doing, your dad was doing, or your sibling was doing, like whatever, any parent was doing, or a sibling was doing to you, that you minimized even the tiniest bit, This is why it worked and it works today. Because the narcissistic tendency person, or the narcissist, whatever, I just call it narcissistic tendency sometimes, just to play safe, just so that you are not in denial. They don't need to have the personality disorder. The narcissist or the narcissistic tendency person does things in a way that works perfectly on you, that would actually work the best on you, that it does not need to be more extreme, because if it was more extreme in any sense, in their tone, in the way they spoke to you, in the way of their directness, in the way, whatever, like how abusive it looks for the society, does not matter like one bit. And if they did it a little bit more extreme, what you would call extreme, or society will, what your mind would call extreme, or what society would call more extreme, that would not work for a long time, honey. That would not work. That's why they're not doing it that way. That's why it's so hidden. That's why it's with subtitles. That's why you are confused for a longer time. That's why you stay in there. That's why you cannot define, oh, there is narcissism in here, or this person is not doing this out of love. They're actually doing it to sabotage me. This actually works perfectly on me. And actually, if this thing happened to them, they would become even more narcissistic. They would be even more cruel today. And it would hurt them so much if it happened to them, the first narcissism that they were exposed to as they were a young child or a baby. Like, it would hurt them even more than it hurts me. So it's like natural for me to self-sabotage or stay confused or be unclear or always get the same results that do not fulfill me in my life. Like, this is all natural. So I just want to say that the reason that I'm doing this podcast is because of the subtitles, like how people are exposed to narcissism in ways that are so subtle. And they're not subtle, by the way, when you have the clarity. Like, it's so obvious. Like, you're like, duh, like, of course, like, this person would, of course, say this thing to me in this moment, because that's why I feel like shit. That's why I don't have that energy to go and get it right now. Or that's why I don't feel centered. That's why I don't feel in my power. That's why I go into confusion instead of certainty that I had in my body. Of course, they would say this thing right now. Like, this is the exact thing that would work on them as well. And they're doing that exact thing on me. But they're like so in denial with their own lives. Like, narcissists, I just started the conversation, by the way. This episode is about how to create the clarity. Are you ready? I know you are ready. Let's create the clarity. And I'm going to be talking about like how to create that clarity. And how, when you look at it from that, like, perspective from love and certainty and that clarity, that openness, how, like, it will become so obvious to you, the storyline. And if it brings up anger, we'll use it for your benefit, okay? And it's all natural, like, a lot of emotions might come up. This is all so natural. It's not easy, by the way, for me to, like, deep down, I know these things now. Like, deep down, we always know. But, like, I know this now consciously. But when I talk about it, there are, by the way, so many things I want to talk about. I might get, like, to different topics, but they will all help you, support you. I know that for sure, because I talk about the things that I wish I heard in my life, because they're still not spoken this way. Like, I never hear anybody talk about it this way. Like, please don't question your heart, like how loving you are. Don't question that. Believe in the goodness of your heart. If your body is telling you something is off, something is really off. And if you're having like challenging emotions, that means something is really, really, really effed up. Like the things that you endured, the things that happen to you over and over and over again, it's bigger than you think. It's bigger than you realize right now. I don't have any assumptions about my childhood anymore. I thought that, I remember the things that I know exactly what happened. No, I have no idea. I have no idea because we just put it in the subconscious. Like, so many out there stuff happened while you were a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 1-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 11-year-old that you did not have the growth yet, the support yet to understand, like, this person saying this to me right now or doing this thing or not doing this thing is really effed up. And them being healthy with me, loving with me, repairing with me is very easy. Like, it's the easiest thing for them. They don't need to put a lot of effort into it. Like, the things that are done over and over and over again creates the results in your life right now. They were not done once or twice. I am not talking about the things that happen like once out of anger they did something. Those things happen too, and the problem is because it's not the main reason, and without minimizing it, I'm saying this, by the way, they're 100% accountable for that BS, like 100%. But the biggest problem, or the way that it really shows that they are narcissistic, is there is no tendency to repair. They're not interested. It's not in their interest. Like, they're not interested in creating repair with you, true repair. And it was a very easy thing for them to do. Like, imagine creating repair with a child. Like, it's the easiest thing. You can wait an hour and then do it if you don't have the tolerance in that moment. Like, it's the easiest thing to do. There is no excuse for it. There is, like, when you are truly empathic and compassionate, not just empathic, okay? Because a lot of narcissistic people know how you feel, and that's why they do the things they do to you. Now, it's not just being empathic. And empathic, good-hearted, compassionate. Like, good-hearted is not important for me, but I'm just saying for you to feel that for yourself. An empathic, compassionate, highly sensitive soul cannot sleep one night doing those things to a child. Like, not even one night. Like, it's not possible because you see clearly what you have done in their eyes. Like, it's obvious. You can make mistakes. That is not the problem, but I'm not minimizing their mistakes. Like, when we talk about this, we're just talking from one compassionate heart to the other. I'm not saying these things to a narcissist that, what you did is not the problem, that you didn't repair is I'm not saying that to them because their problem is not being accountable for their actions. Like, it's their biggest problem. And it's the biggest way for you to realize that they're narcissistic. I just had an example of this in my life that it was like so obvious. But if it was in the past, I would have played small and minimized my emotions and not do the things that I'm doing right now. And I know that although it's not easy, when I follow my heart, when I do the right thing for me, when I'm not exposing myself to any kind of like BS, any kind of narcissism, and not just putting them under the rug, because that accommodates it. That is very accommodating to them. When I follow my heart and when I do the truth, like when I am the truth, when I am doing the things that are protective of my energy and aligned with my soul and living in a way that where I have high standards, and when when I practice that as well, when I'm not saying yes to be yes, I know that miracles happen. That's when miracles happen. So I am on the path. I'm on this path now. Like, it's not easy, but I'm not expecting it to be easy because I believe that The first times that we're doing these things are the where we have the most resistance. And I heard someone talk about this, is like the road gets harder before it gets easy, just because the universe is saying, are you really up for it? Are you really ready? Do you really believe this? Like what you are saying you believe. Do you really believe that? Because you show that to the universe when you practice it in the moment, in that experience, not just like outside of the experience, or not just thinking about the past, but when you are faced with a challenge, when you are faced with a true a-hole, is where you show the universe. And it's not convenient. I will share this experience, by the way, in a couple of weeks for sure, or in a month or something. I will share what I'm experiencing right now, but it's not convenient, and I know that it's supposed to be that way. It's been like taking some of my energy for a while, for a few months, a few weeks. But I know that it's supposed to be this way. Like I know that I might have the tendency to self-sabotage or put it under the rug, which is so accommodating for that energy, not just for that person, but for that energy to repeat itself. But now I am showing up as myself and doing whatever is necessary in the moment, because I am still learning. And I know that these are like tests that you show the universe. Like test might be a negative word, but I'm just saying it in a way that you prove to the universe that you're ready now, that you really don't want to settle down with any kind of narcissism in any area of your life. And you know the truth of your soul, and you don't need anyone's confirmation for that, because you don't care how it looks from the narcissist's perspective, because they always have excuses. They always make it look as if it was a naive thing, or they didn't do anything, or you are creating the drama, or, you know, the problem is with you. Like there was nothing there. You just over-exaggerated. You just created something from your mind, because what they do is so out of integrity. Like it's so weird that once it passes, there is not even a way for you to describe it to someone else with words, because it is in that moment what they're doing is so weird. Like you just feel it in your body. Like there is a predator here. Like this is danger. Like this is not comfortable. This is not safe. This is like really weird, and it's going to go somewhere really bad if I just accommodate this and put it under the rug, because it's not black and white. Like they cannot be totally black. Like I don't want to use the word black. What the fuck? Like, sorry. They can't just be all bad, or they can't be just in every area, in every moment. They can't be unhealthy. They can't be unloving. They can't be narcissistic. They can't be an asshole in every moment. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't have worked on you if they were. It would not have worked. You would have created the clarity long time ago if it was like your family. If we go back to the family. What I'm talking about here, by the way, is not related to family. And I'll give you this example once I'm through this completely, just to be able to give you an example as well. Like this is like so effed up that we don't have these. Like if we figure out the thing about the family, it becomes so much easier, and you feel so much more certainty and have the practice to apply it in other areas of your life. But the initial, the most important thing is to create the clarity in your family. So let's get into it. All right. So the previous episode was an answer to a question of one of my amazing listeners, and which I called Laura. I'm just giving you nicknames when you ask me questions, just for your privacy. Not that like your family will listen to the podcast, but just for you to feel completely safe. So Laura sent me a message, and it was really, and I'll read it to you now. I didn't even read the message in the previous episode, and we just talked about like why the heck is so difficult and almost impossible for a lot of people to say that, your mom was truly narcissistic to you. And this is why like ABC, these things have happened in your life and you're just still accommodating it in the name of love, but which is not love. Or your dad was purely narcissistic to you and he was doing the exact things that works in your life for you to play small, self-sabotage, accommodate more narcissism in other areas, in other relationships. It's just like really crazy to me, and I really don't understand coming from love, like looking at it from a love perspective. It just does not make sense for me, for people, even like spiritual leaders, for them to say right away they did the best they can, because I believe that we cannot forgive like that. Like that it's not possible. And it's not healthy, and it doesn't come from love. If one person is abused, they are abused. Like, let's look at it. And it's just like, it's not love, like, period. So I will read Laura's message to you, the first message, and then she sent me a second, there was a second part to her message after the previous episode, which was so activating for me. Like, I have so much fire to talk about this stuff. And thank you so much, Laura, for your beautiful messages. Again, thank you so much. It just reminds me of my passion, of why I have created this podcast and why I will do the things that I will do about this stuff in the future. This is only the beginning. Like, this podcast is only the beginning for me to practice sharing with you what I have learned that have completely changed and shifted my life. So let's begin. I'll just read Laura's first message because you have no idea like what the question was or like where the story is coming from. So when I'm responding to it, you have an idea and then you would relate to it in some way, I'm sure. So this is Laura's message. She says, "Hi, Rukan. I wanted to say thank you for your podcast. I think it's amazing and you're so needed. I feel trapped in narcissistic relationships. I believe that my whole family are narcissistic. I cannot spend time with them without them finding a way to criticize and blame me for things out of the blue. Then when I decide I need to walk away from an argument that they created themselves, I am accused of being the problem. There is literally no way out. The worst thing is I have no support. And when I met someone in the healing industry, in air quotes, healing industry, they turned out to be a confirmed sexual predator. I remember you saying that people in narcissistic families will attract narcissistic romantic relationships, and I couldn't see how I would want to be in a relationship with someone like that. But I did. In the most unlikely person. So all I attract is betrayal over and over again. It feels like there are no safe people. I have some questions that you could answer in a podcast if you want. How to attract safe people in your life." Let me continue. Let me finish this before I say anything. And Laura continues, "How to achieve the first and most important step of being clear about what's happening when you have problems with self-doubt and gaslight yourself, and if you don't have anyone in your life to confirm what is happening. How to get independence from your family when you depend on them, working for them, and you're too unwell and vulnerable to go it alone." I love you, Laura, so much. Thank you so much for your questions. There are so many things here. First of all, I want to say, I see you. It's the things you're going through are naturally results of what you went through. So it's not you, it's them, as one book was called. It's not you, it is them. And I'm really sorry for what you went through, and it's very common. It's a very common thing for people who have parents who have narcissistic tendencies. Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say I feel you, I see you, I hear you. I'm here for you. I hope I will give you the best service in these episodes. Let's begin with the questions now, the things that I wrote today, and I believe I will continue with your questions on the next episode. So it will be like 3 episodes, and we might continue after that too. So I believe the next episode I will do on romantic relationships. If not, like if I have more to say, then I will do on next. But I would talk about it here and there for sure in these episodes. So today I want to say, and I'm going to continue reading Laura's message, the second part, because this is very important. This was so like activating for me in a way that I feel so much passion about talking about this stuff, because I never hear it anywhere else, and it just doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't come from love. So I will read the second part of Laura's message after she listened to the previous episode. She says, "Hey Rukan, here are my thoughts. I don't know why narcissism in families is such a taboo subject either. Perpetrators are being protected, and it is so damaging for victims because it keeps us confused, out of touch with reality, and not able to heal. It actually is the trauma. Even therapists are scared to say things as they are. They insinuate it, but don't say it clearly. I started reaching out to my relative. I just said relative here, not to be specific. He's a psychotherapist, and even he tiptoes around it. He says over and over, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, that it's a fucked up dynamic, but then he still wants to interpret situations positively from the point of view that they have the best possible intentions. The clarity and validation is the missing puzzle piece for me, but I feel so much better since feeling your support and understanding. Not needing anyone's approval is so key. It's like my natural ability to defend myself and live for myself has been taken from me. I don't give myself permission." And I will read the rest of the message probably on the next episode. I'll just stop here. I really put an effort not to say anything while I'm reading it, because I have so many notes, Laura, to say on everything. So many notes, like, because you don't see my face, I just want to read your message first, so it's not confusing which is like what you wrote and what I'm saying to the listener. So, Laura, I want to say, first of all, that things have happened and are still happening, because they are only the tip of the iceberg, what's happening today, and they don't have to be so consistent, so big, and so obvious like they were when you were a child. And they just work because the mountain is there. It's already built, so they just need to touch it a little bit to create that effect on you. And it's everything is done in narcissism in a way that works. Like, they know how it looks from outside. They know that how can create the BS excuses and make it look like, oh, like you're making a, like, look at you as if you're such a big problem that when you're even when you're talking about the problem, that you're creating a drama, a so-called drama or whatever. Like, they do this. I have seen in my life that, like, it is so natural for someone to go truly crazy. Like, you can really drive someone crazy with narcissistic manipulation. And it's not really about like how strong that person is or not. It depends on who she's surrounded with, who he's surrounded with. It all comes down to that, like what you're exposed to bit by bit by bit. Like, that's the way it works. Like, small doses, like really subtle, small, exactly the subtle moments they say something to create that effect on you. And it's like, and the biggest problem is is that in society, this is not talked about. That's why people cannot create the clarity, because if you are exposed to the BS, but if you hear back in the day on TV and now on social media, you hear people talk about stories that millions and millions of people go through that are not, in air quotes, extreme stories that society has now called trauma. Like, it's the subtle things. If we hear these stories and how, if they would confirm like the stuff that I talk about here, that this is narcissistic, this breaks your wings, this creates the confusion, this creates the doubt, this creates even though you may take all the actions, you don't get the results you want because you're not doing it from a fierce, like certain, clear, powerful way. You are not doing it from that energy. You're doing it from a confused, scared, like with urgency, like fight or flight in survival mode. You are not doing it like calmly, using the part of your brain that you're supposed to use, but you're using the part of your brain that you use when you are in survival. You shouldn't be in your survival mode when you're around your family members. But I have felt that for all my life until 2 years ago. And I was just around those people, like, and I'm gonna curse a lot on this episode for sure. But the effed up thing about the situation is that exactly this, like the most effed up thing that I did the episode on previously as well. And I'm going to continue talking about it. I'm going to be more clear and specific and better about it as I talk more about it. But the effed up thing is that if you looked at that photo, if you were a friend of mine that entered that room, because that was my experience. I wouldn't experience it that way. Looking at my friend's family, by the way, I would see exactly what the F is happening. But that was my experience. That my friend will walk into the room, and the effed up thing is that they would say, what a marvelous family I have and how lucky I am. I feel like crying saying this. Like, this is the effed up thing. This is how it works. Because like for my kind of like my personality, the way how loving I am, the way that I am, this is how it works. It wouldn't have worked another way. You know, like if it was a little bit different, if it was a little bit more obvious to a friend, let's like an outsider coming in, if it was a little bit obvious, a little bit more obvious, whatever, it would not have worked on me. 18 years old, 20 years old, I would have realized, or maybe younger. But you just keep on going and you expose yourself to that stuff, thinking, oh, it's family, it's love, like we're gonna have, like you are always in that hope mode. But you are not realizing that you are hoping for something. You're realizing you are in the experience, but you're not. You're hoping it every single time. Every single time you're either neglected, not seen, abused, whatever. Like some stuff is going on there that you're like, or not supported. Someone is abusing you and others are just like going about their day. Like nobody's supporting you. Nobody's defending you. Nobody's pointing out to the fact that like there might be something here. Nobody's seeing other areas of your life and say like, she might have some narcissism in her family. Like this is why she might have that. I feel like crying, you guys. Like when you see someone in any kind of problem, please look at their families, their parents, because when you look, you give them the permission to look as well. I know so many people playing small in their lives, but it looks as if they're living out loud, like they're working their family business. The family is really wealthy. And it looks as if he or she is like doing great, but she is or he is playing small, so small, because for her potential, the way she will be in the world, the way she will walk in the world, the way she will talk to someone, she's going to behave differently. Like if someone eats too much, if someone has sicknesses, if someone is in abusive relationships, if someone is always single, if someone is not making money in their lives, if someone, like, please give them the permission next time to look at their parents. Because if we just keep lost in the drama of today, of the adult, whatever, the work, the relationship, this is what the narcissist is accommodated with. And that's what they used against you. So, dear Laura, I want to say one of the most important things. I have so many notes, but one of the things that just comes to my mind now that I wanted to say to you is that, you know how your relative says, like, it's a fucked up dynamic. Even I can see it, but then they, like, I'll talk about this. It's not positive, by the way, what they're doing. You know that as well, but I'll talk about that. But what I want to say is that, what did I want to say? There are so many things I want to say, but let me see. What I want to say is what your family does to you and how it looks as if, like, this is the biggest deal, okay? How narcissism works is that they talk about what you are challenged with in the moment, and they say something like give you advice, I don't know, tell their opinion, whatever it is, that seems as if they're being protective, that they're doing it for with good intentions, for your good, blah, blah, blah. Like, let me make this clear. I know exactly what I want to say, but I want to say it correctly so that the message goes through. The way it works is it has to look that they're looking out for your intentions. Like, they cannot work it. Narcissism cannot really function and work for, their intentions if they're acting like a villain in a cartoon, like an evil woman or an evil man in a cartoon. It would not work. Like, that's what I've been saying since the beginning of the episode. It has to look that way. And here are my notes. This was the biggest thing I wanted to talk about today. So I wrote, narcissistic parents do exactly what works, and it looks like they are doing it for your good. This is why it works, because you get caged. You need to be failing miserably so hard, doing the wrong things in order to find your way. This is the path to success in anything. So, I don't know. Let's give an example. Let's say there is a musician and they have narcissistic tendency parents, and someone walks in the room, and this can be your mind looking at your life as well. Doesn't matter, okay? This is how it works. That musician, that young boy or woman, that young man or young woman is going out in the world, being a musician, trying to create some success, some start for themselves in that industry. And usually the story is, for very successful people, that they fail miserably at first. Like, they're going to the wrong people, they're not making any money, they're failing miserably, they don't know what to do really, or they are doing the things but they're not getting they're like penniless, they're not getting the success, the results yet. Like, this is the journey. This is the path. This is how it works, right? This is how life is. Because they're doing something courageous. And the way narcissism works is that the narcissistic tendency parent is not the one that believes in their child. This is the sad truth. It's not even sad for me anymore. That this is the truth, and this is how we should live our lives, like knowing this. So there is a type of parent actually that they see the gift in the child. Narcissists see the gift too, and that's why they do all those things to the strong child more. A loving parent, a healthy, loving, compassionate parent sees the gift in the child. They just want the child to be happy, and they are not doing the negotiation with the universe or like calculating or how are they going to make money. They just know and respect the child that they will find their way. This is just, they're young, they're just starting the path, no matter what the industry is, by the way. They're just beginning the path. Of course, they're going to fail miserably. Of course, like at the beginning of their journey, they're going to maybe do the wrong things, because this is how it works. Like, this is how, if they became successful themselves in any kind of way, they did really, air quotes, wrong things at the beginning. Like, this is how you find your path, the right way, whatever. Like, right and wrong is just, I'm like using loosely, obviously. They know this, and they know the biggest resource, the biggest thing that child needs in that moment is not talent, is not the right song, is not the right connection, is not the right network, is not money. Like, this is not what the biggest thing the child needs. The biggest thing that the child needs is they know their parents believe in them. You know what kind of power this is? I was watching an award ceremony years ago, okay? And I vaguely remember that it was Justin Timberlake, but I don't know if it was, but I was like watching this maybe 20 years ago, 20 plus something years ago. And this person getting this award, like Oscars, Grammys, something, it was so interesting to me because I could not imagine myself like having that story in that moment. That's why it was so interesting to me. The speech was so interesting to me. The person getting the award was thanking their mom and dad for believing in them. That was like, you know how they thank people when they get an award? Their first thank you note or thank you speech note was, thank you, Mom, for believing in me. Thank you, Dad, for believing in me. And it was so interesting to me. I was almost like drooling. Like, I was almost not jealous, but I was like in awe. Like, oh my God, like this is possible too. Because I know that person started with nothing, like a child, like a young man, a young woman. It was so interesting to me that this was possible. I could see myself doing it for my own child for sure, but I could not, see myself giving a speech for any of my successes, having the story that, they believed in me. Like, this is the biggest resource. It's like, you cannot even compare it to money, the money they give you. You cannot compare it to, I don't know, I love you. You cannot compare it to anything. And the right people, the right connections, the right song, the right product. Like, it doesn't have any value if your parents don't believe in you. And and they might not. But the problem is that if it looks like a happy family from an outsider, you're caged. That's why I created this podcast, because someone with an extreme story, maybe, their relatives, their friends would say, stay away from them today. Like, don't give them one more day. Stay the fuck away. And what they're saying is a lie.
Like this saves lives. When you tell someone what they tell you is a lie, this would have saved my life. I'm so glad everything happened the way it did, but it's still something that I work through. I'm still like amazed how people cannot find these words to support you when someone abuses you. Like what they say is a lie because the narcissist talks about you. They talk about your capabilities, your abilities, your choices, your life. They talk about your life. And no one says what they say is a lie. And so the type of, so there is these types of parents too. Maybe not much, but there is. And that is like an infinite resource that gives you the fuel for life. You can save the world. Like you can conquer the world with that energy. Because it creates that self-worth belief in you. Because they are the god and the goddess. And by the way, siblings is a very powerful dynamic too. And we'll talk about that as well for sure. Like maybe not today, but we will. So this was the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about, Laura, today. And I'm going to end it here. I don't know how many episodes this will continue because there are so many things I want to talk about. And I want to give you examples and I want to really dive deep into because there are so many big subjects here and I don't want to go just on the surface because these are the things that I never hear around still. But if I heard any one of these episodes, really, it would have changed my life massively because it gives you the confirmation that what you're feeling in your body is there is a whole lot more that has happened than what you remember or what you see today. It's not just what they said yesterday that really angered you, that really pissed you off, or that really frustrated you, that really disappointed you, that really raged you, that really made you feel sad or helpless or confused or whatever. It's not only that sentence. Someone said this to me and it stuck with me and it makes so much sense. Like when you're really angry with something or sad with something with what they said 3 days ago or a week ago or a month ago or just an hour ago, it's not that moment only that you're angry with. It's abused so many times over and over. It's countless times. And those were moments that it was so obvious for a loving person to see what's happening in the child's face, and the child is so vulnerable. It doesn't make any sense to do that to a child, and it's your own child. How can you break their heart and do that thing that really disempowers them? Because they do the exact things that would have worked on them. And if you look at their lives, their stories, they have that stuck points about their own families. And they have so much, they closed their heart a long time ago, and they're just living their lives out of that energy. But they have so many things that they're in denial with that they will probably never look at that way. That they know exactly what works, and your story, what you're going through today, is a result of that. So they know exactly what to say, and to an outsider it looks as if they're doing it with good intentions, but that is why you're going through that story. So the other example of that person going up on stage, thanking their parents for believing in them, for supporting them when they just began the journey, when there was nothing to be proud of, nothing. It was very unknown. It was very uncertain. In that situation, they did those things. So there is that alternative too. And the things that you go through today, they know deep down subconsciously they are the result of you feeling disempowered, confused, making wrong decisions coming from that, maybe hurrying with choices. Like, I have so many examples in my life that I'm now in the process of shifting. There is so many of them. That's why I'm so passionate to talk about these things, because I don't want you to lose the time that I lost. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You don't get anything at the end. You're still the same loving person, and you would be even more loving maybe if you didn't go through that, or maybe you're loving the same way now. But it's just, you're just you. But what you get is not the thing that fulfills you at the end of it. If you accommodate that, you want a fulfilling life, and you are here to get it. And the things that stop you are happening with nuances, with subtitles, in moments that disempower you even more, but it looks as if they're looking out for you. And like, it's interesting that I gave the musician example, by the way, because I was not thinking of giving the other example of the award winner. But yeah, it's not a coincidence, I'm sure. But, you know, if that musician is coming back home penniless and not getting any results, obviously they're just like beginning. They're going to try everything. They're going to go sing on the street, sing at a cafe, or try to sing at a cafe. Like, they're going to try everything. Like, the story is going to be that way. They're not even going to remember it that way in the future. But in those moments, if the parent thinking of them, you know, like, you get the point. I don't even need to give you the example, but they can be saying all the things that look from an outsider, an ignorant outsider, I would say, because an open heart cannot tolerate it. They get angry. Like, I get angry when people do that to their child or to their family members or whatever. Like, they can be saying all the things, say, oh yeah, they're thinking for their good. They're doing it with good intentions. No, that is the thing that sabotages you. That is the thing that confuses you. You cannot self-doubt because of like falling down. You should be failing so miserably in order to succeed amazingly. This is the way. I haven't heard any other examples, by the way, from very, very successful people. You should be failing miserably, but you don't even tell the story that way because you don't have those emotions. Like, it's not charged with those emotions anymore, because it's like the story turns out to be amazing later. So you're coming from there and you're just grateful for everything. But being exposed to a family and being like a close family is the sabotage. Like, because you're exposed to it so much and you are in this, I am sure I'm going to like formulate this. I'm sure I'm going to be talking about these things in a year much differently, like in a more formulated ways. But it's like the dynamics are so clear to me. Like, you go in there hoping they do the same thing. You minimize it, find an excuse because, yeah, they're right. Like, I didn't get any success today, so they're thinking of me, so maybe I should quit. Or, I don't know, or another situation where you don't get the fulfilling results. Like, that's why it works. And that's why it works socially as well. You don't get the support because looking from outside, an ignorant heart says, oh yeah, they're doing it for your benefits. They're doing it for your good. They're doing it with good intentions. Like, who cares about their intentions? Who cares about someone's intentions? I don't care. Like, everything is obvious. Love is love. When you make a mistake, it's obvious. If I tell you that you've done something that broke my heart, you should be open to it. If you're not open to it, if you're not compassionate in that moment that what you did hurt me, shows that you're narcissistic, period. This is the easiest way. So, and I want to add this, and I want to end it here today because it's almost going to be 1 hour. I want to say to everyone listening, and to you, Laura, as well, I know you know this, but forgiveness doesn't happen with you over forgiving. That is just people pleasing. So when people say they did the best they can, just like after your third sentence, not even giving you the permission to fully feel like what you felt and what really went down. Maybe it's so much bigger than what they're saying, most probably, because they are so used to minimizing it. They're always in that like hope emotion that you're asking them to forgive, but that's not forgiveness. You don't forgive someone like that. And I hear over and over again now too, like, you don't need to forgive. Forgiveness is, you may forgive someone, or you may not even be interested in forgiving. Like, you are not charged with those things anymore because you are not letting them do those things to you today. You've started living your life. If you continue accommodating, like, forgiveness is not possible. That's not forgiveness. That's like letting your child be abused, or you abusing your child, or you letting that parent abuse you. It's the same thing. It's not different. If you let someone abuse you or not expect them to be accountable, you don't need to expect a narcissist to be accountable, but you can say, like, they were responsible for these things. They did those things to me, and they're still continuing to do so if I let them. If you minimize any of the things that they do, it's the same thing as if you do those things to your vulnerable child, knowing their situation, like knowing if they are playing a game and if they're failing at it, you know that you doing any kind of facial expression or saying it in that tone, or, you know, saying anything, you know what will make them feel disempowered. And you knowing that and saying those things and just sleeping and, you know, like living your life, continuing with your life without any interest in repair is the same exact thing. And seeing that sadness in their eyes and their confusion and their scare or whatever is the same exact thing if you let other people do those things and not create the clarity. It's the same thing. If you are in denial, minimize anyone's behavior, it's the same exact thing. If you go and do the same thing in the same situation to your own child, to someone else, to a child, it's the same thing. There is no difference. Or if you were older, or if that person doing that thing to you were a child, they turn out to be a child in a moment, and you are in your age now and you go do that thing to them. It's no different. And knowing your own emotions, like imagine feeling so much stress in your body, like feeling all those emotions and feeling so sad, and you know the emotions you go through. Imagine you do that thing to them and just go on with your life. There is no difference. So it's not forgiveness and it's not love. So I love you so much. We'll continue with this on the next episode. And dear Laura, I will be walking through your messages because they're really beautiful. And I know so many people will resonate with this because I was so activated to talk about this. I love you so much, Laura. There's a reason that you're asking all these questions here. You will start creating your life that will inspire us. I know this 100%. You're on the journey. I love you. I see you. I'll see you on the next episode. My gorgeous listener, if you had any takeaways from this episode or from this podcast in general, I would love to know. Please share this episode with a few loved ones right now. You never know how they can benefit from something so small. And please take a screenshot of this episode and share on IG, tagging me at Khewella. That is Khewella. Khewella. That is my goddess wear brand, my Instagram page. I would love to know what your takeaway was, or something you found inspirational, or a confirmation you believe in as well. That would make my day. And you can always DM me if you have a topic or a certain question in mind that you want me to talk about. And give me a 5-star rating if you feel like it. That would help this podcast immensely to get the word out. I love you. See you on the next one. I want to see you shine your brightest.